Hi, my name is Frederik. As you might hear, I'm not from Scotland. I'm from Brussels, in Belgium. I'd like to speak about how startups can give you inspiration on getting work done more efficiently. In the panel discussion before, it was clear that there's new challenges because stuff is changing so fast. Someone had the example that media relations is only about 10% of the work agencies do, 20% maybe. There's so much new work to do. How do you get good at doing this? How do you train your people to get well at this? How do you measure progress? And startups are a good example because they're at the forefront of change. There are people creating this change. And so I'll talk about this a bit. Why I'm here is Laura invited me. Thank you, Laura. And I always wanted to see Scotland, so I took a few days with my wife, and we went to the Highlands and we traveled around a bit. How I know Laura is from a book we worked on together. It's called PR Stack. Do people know PR Stack? Could you raise your hand if you know about the project? Yes. Okay, good. I built a little website for it. I think about now it's got 250, 300 tools on this site. It's prstack.co. And it's an open source project or a crowdsourced project. People just entered the tools in it themselves. And it's this huge list. And we made 2 books out of it. That's it. After the huge list, people thought, like, what are these tools? What can I do with them? By using startup techniques, you can do twice the work in only half of the time. I didn't make this up. There are teams that are even 10 times as efficient as other teams because they work really well together. They focus on creating value. And I'll show you many examples of my startup heroes. For startups, it's do or die. We have to make what we're doing into success, or we don't make any money, we fail. There were some good comments before. I think Laura asked about the difference between outputs, outcomes. For us, it isn't about the amount of tweets that something generates or retweets or likes. I need to pay the bills. I need to create this company, and it's all about results. All these techniques, they're not just used for scrappy startups or small startups. Big organizations are using the very same techniques that small teams are using. There's so much being written about it. There's so many books about it. This is SpaceX from Elon Musk. They only started 10 years ago, 2006. And now already they are going to the International Space Station, dropping off stuff there. They didn't have anything 10 years ago. So yeah, they have these new kind of rockets that cost only 1/10 of the amount that another rocket cost, I think, and it can just take off and come back, land again. They were in the news 2 days ago. I think it failed again and one exploded on landing, but still they're getting there. It wasn't unmanned rocket. It was all good. No damage there apart from a few millions or billions even. And why I'm using this example is everyone probably knows Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX. He's also the CEO of Tesla at the same time. He's also creating the Hyperloop, or like this transport system that allows you to go from LA to New York in 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, he's got quite a busy schedule, I think, so it's probably pretty effective at what he does. And some of the techniques I'll show are things he picked up onto. Yeah, a lot of startup techniques. And he's not the only one, because he came from PayPal, the payment technique. That's where he got his money. I think 10 years ago, they sold it to Amazon for 1.5 billion. And his co-founders have most of them have created great things since. 2 of his co-founders started YouTube, the little video site that is becoming pretty popular. Someone started Palantir, Ian Thiel. He's one of the biggest defense contractors in America, creating intelligence. Anyway, these guys kind of knew what they were doing, it seems, and they've all gone to great success. A little bit of why is it important to speak about workflow? This is a little visual that drew Stephen Waddington, that will be here tomorrow, looking at the costs and profits in an agency. And staff costs 55 to 60%. That's so much of the money. We're people-driven organizations. It's all human capital. So let's make sure these people do a good job. They're not just sitting there. Let's make sure that you get the most out of them. Person on the top left is Taiichi Ono. He shaped the Toyota production system, like the real manufacturing system in the 50s. And he laid foundations that some of the other guys there looked on and iterated on, improved on. The guy on the right, I think a year or 6, 7 ago, out of nowhere, he created a bestseller called The Lean Startup. And it's been used in startups those years, but now there's lean government, lean social sector, lean many things. What it means is how to make stuff really efficiently. That's what the whole lean movement is about. And it had a huge impact 6 years ago and in the last years. This guy is Tim Ferriss. He's called the Superman of Silicon Valley. He wrote books that you might know, The 4-Hour Work Week. Apparently, he can only work 4 hours a week. This is Jeff Sutherland. He's known for SCRUM, the technique SCRUM, the project management technique that is said to be a radical improvement over how all teams used to work. I'll show you what I think are things they said that shaped our company and that is shaping so many startups and other organizations. So first, hero is Jeff Sutherland. His claim to fame is that he digitized the FBI. After 9/11, the FBI did a really good study to see, like, could they have avoided this 9/11? Could they have been a smarter organization? 2001, apparently back then, all the work they did, if they had to file a case or something, or have to pay an informant, everything happened on a piece of paper, or they typed down their report, or maybe printed it, and then they needed to take some keywords, highlight them in red, and then pass the printed paper to someone else, and they would input it into a computer and use these keywords. It was terribly inefficient, and they said that this process clearly was one of the reasons that they didn't prevent 9/11, because they had such old, outdated workflows. And in 2001, they created a project. They called it the VCF, the Virtual Case File System. And they worked on it for 2 years with an external team, and it cost them $170 million. It was like 100 million pounds. It's quite a lot of money for 2 years. And after those 2 years, they evaluated the project, and they said, like, it doesn't work, we won't use it. They didn't use a single line of code of what was worked on in 2 years. Just tossed it away. A year later, they started a new project, similar project, called Sentinel, and they worked on it for 5 years. Very similar project. And how they did this, it was an external agency, and they usually started with months and months of planning. Usually they use like Gantt charts, like these beautiful plans with colors, you know, like this is gonna take this long, and when this is finished, this person will do this, or this team, and then this happened. They planned for months and months and months. And they worked on it for 5 years. It should have been finished for 5 years, yeah. And so in 2010, they assessed it. And after 5 years, they came out to find that they could only do 50% or half of the stuff they set out to build. And it would take 8 more years to finish it and costs another 400 million. So we're already almost at 800 million, and they didn't have anything that worked yet, 10 years later. And then Jeff Sutherland came, and he fixed it all. He's an Agile coach, a SCRUM coach. He transforms businesses, and he helps businesses work better. But he said that in only 3 months, with 5% of the budget and 20% of the staff, they managed to deliver a first piece of software. So it had taken them 9 years with nothing workable already, with spending 700, 800 million. And Jeff did it with 5% of the budget in 3 months. So how did he do it? There are a few techniques that he uses. And it's called, well, Scrum is a technique that he uses. It comes from rugby. The Scrum, do people know this term? Yeah? Okay. But team, and one of the main things is early and continual delivery of value. Try to create something useful as fast as possible. Early delivery of value. So instead of planning and scoping for months, what Scrum teams do is they prioritize ruthlessly, and they say like, what is the thing we really, really, really need? And then they say like, okay, let's see in the next 2 weeks, how can we make that work? Let's don't do the complete planning phase of taking 3 months to plan, because that's how it usually works. I guess in most teams here, you have a lot of planning because it's a bit of an umbrella, a safety net, because the person that is planning, his plan is great. He didn't make any mistakes. There is buy-in from all the stakeholders, like, this is a rock-solid plan, we'll do this. But then it starts, and from day 1, day 2, the plan doesn't go according to schedule. One of the other aspects that are really important in Scrum is the Scrum team. Usually they have a small team of up to 8 people that sit together, work together, and it's a multidisciplinary team. It could be a copywriter, a designer, a programmer, maybe a creative, a strategist. These people sit together and get the work done. And they are self-organizing. There's no manager in the team. The team manages it themselves. They just sit together and they know they have their goal of what they need to do in 2 weeks. And they just sit down and say, okay, let's just do this. Let's figure it out. And one of the things that is very recognizable in these Scrum teams is the daily stand-up. People heard about this before? Agile, daily stand-up, or the daily Scrum is every morning or at a set time, the team gets together and they ask each other, they tell, this is the stuff I did that was critical, this is the stuff I want to do today, and these are the things that are blocking me. And it's called a stand-up because they stand together for 5 minutes and just go like, come on, what are you going to do, what are we going to do? And then they just go at it. And the whole day they work really fast. This is in daily, weekly, bi-weekly, really working fast to solve problems together. What they also do well is learning what works, Agile teams. Usually they work in sprints. Like a sprint is 1 week of 2 weeks of really focused work. And the sprint has a clearly defined goal. For example, build this book, build this page, build a new sign-up flow, whatever, build something. And then after the sprint, the whole team gets together and they have a retrospective, they call it. And they don't discuss the project, but they discuss the workflow. Every week or every 2 weeks, they talk about, okay, what went well, what didn't go well, how shall we improve our process? So they really look at how their process works. So it's not the yearly evaluation with your manager talking about what you want to do, what your goals are. No, it's about how do we work together, how are our processors, how is our software, are we a good team? Transparency, so that's the daily stand-up. People can't hide in a team like this. They can't sit for weeks and look busy. No, every day you have to say what you're going to do, what you did. If people didn't do their job, the team will see. It's not the manager that will tell them that they're not doing a good job. The team is going to tell them, like, dude, you're blocking me from getting my stuff done. You're going to do it. What's your problem? It's a bit confrontational. So maybe a practical example in communications could be, let's say, creating an awesome ebook. Let's say it could be that your client or someone in your team has the idea of, let's create an awesome ebook. Could be. Did it happen to someone? No? Okay. But yeah, I hope you get the example. Usually how this gets decided is there's someone really senior with a big paycheck that says like, let's do it. I like it. My wife likes it. We will do it. This will be the name of the ebook. It will be like this. Now go do it. And then how it could get started is for maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe there are strategists that think of, an ebook, yes, what should we make? And then they have many meetings about what it should be or what the project should be. After that, it could be that they start looking, the project manager starts breaking down the work, assessing people. Could say like, okay, we need a copywriter here. When the copywriter is done, let's say it takes him 2 weeks to make a whole ebook, then we get a designer to make it look really good, and then we have our ebook in a month, maybe. The Scrum approach of this would be to go for value first, and how it could work is maybe day one, you start sending some tweets or Facebook messages about many topics that you want to create an ebook about. You create small things that already have value, and you could start measuring like which ones do people like, which ones do they engage with. An alternative could be to, let's say, create a Google ad for £50, £100 with some variations on ebooks, and you see like who is clicking on the links. This way you could learn really quickly of which things are interesting. Then on day one, the team already knows what has value. And then maybe if there's something really interesting, the copywriter and the designer can make a blog post out of it, or 2 blog posts, or 3 blog posts, already creating value. So that's only week 1. You maybe already have 3 blog posts ready by then. You can see which ones get a lot of comments, the ones that get shared on social, and then maybe the next week, the designer and the copywriter sit together and they create an ebook about this from these 4 blog posts or 3 blog posts. Put them together, you already have the content there, and so on week 2 you already have an ebook that you're pretty sure people might be interested in. And it might be because they've already seen bits and pieces of it in blog posts, so more interested in it. So this gives you 2 more weeks to amplify it on social maybe, or to create a slideshare out of it, create other posts out of it. So one example of this more value upfront approach of learning fast what works and not doing all the planning and all the, just getting things done quickly. Yeah, this is another hero. It doesn't really fit in the list, but I like this idea that this is, you see this is a lying down desk, what is it, a chair? I have a pretty similar setup. Well, I have the same screen and the same devices. I don't sit like this. I have a desk that goes, it's automatic, and it goes up and down. All our team has this fancy desk that goes up and down. It's pretty cool. And the BYOD is bring your own device. It's a small piece of advice that startups do really well. Is like get the proper tools for the job. Just let people choose what they want themselves. I used to work in a huge communications agency, Saatchi & Saatchi, and they're in the Publicis network. And I needed to create a video for new business, and I didn't have the software. And I made some workarounds, and I made a video. It took me 2 days to build something I could have made maybe in half a day or 2 hours because I didn't have the software. And it took 6 months to get the right software because I was working in Brussels, but the budget people in Paris needed to decide it. So I needed to go via the budget in Brussels and then to Paris and back 6 months to get the right software. Whereas I could have just done it immediately. And a piece of advice from this man, do people know who this is? It's Drew Benvey. He's the CEO of Batten Hall. It's a comms agency in London. I think they started 3.5 years ago, and already after half a year, they became the Future Agency of the Year. I saw him speak at the PRCA festival, and yeah, they were the Future Agency of the Year that had been in business for only 6 months or something, and they've won every award since, almost. Agency of the Year, year after year in UK or in Great Britain. Drew did an interesting post on their blog, on battenhall.net, called The Agency Blueprint, and he shares some of the steps that his agency took to get to where they are. They have many more pieces. So on to Taiichi Ono. He's the founder of the Toyota production system. He he built this through the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I think in the 40s, 50s, Toyota was doing a poorer job than their competitors in the US. Competitors in the US were much better at creating good cars faster. But Taiichi Ohno came in and he improved quality control, or improved the quality, and he implemented many systems that are still looked at today. One system that might be familiar is Kaizen. Toyota even wrote a book about it, Kaizen. It's continuous improvement in Japanese. And Taiichi Ohno is very, very concerned with how teams work together and in making sure there's as little waste as possible. That teams really focus on, really look well at how their job is going. I'll show you an example. Let's see. Okay, this is the Kanban board or one of the Kanban boards that we used at our office. It's called Kanban, K-A-N-B-A-N. And it's a system that Ohno introduced. It's very simple. It's like, what are we going to work on? What are we working on? What did we do? It's super simple, but it's very efficient. Why is it efficient? Because it's very open and visual. It's about externalizing what you're doing, externalizing progress. You might be wondering, why are there different colors for the cards? And it is because we use the PESO model. People know this lady up there? If you look for PR woman in Google, you see this picture. You really do. It is, her name is Ginny Dietrich. She has the most popular PR blog called Spin Sucks. Every day there's 2-3 quality posts on coping with change in PR, on doing your job in a modern way. And she coined or popularized this model. It's called the PESO model. It's called PESO because the idea is that comms teams or PR teams aren't just working on earned media anymore, not just on getting in the newspapers and blogs. We heard it before. It's on social also. It's on your own sites. You could have a newsletter. You could have a blog. And to get the attention of people, you might need to use paid. You might need to get advertising to amplify your content. And this is a very handy model. And the colors are these colors that we use also. The colors of the cards. So why is Kanban useful? You can easily see bottlenecks. I already explained that because you really see where work is staying. One important aspect of Kanban is single piece workflow. Project would be much more difficult if, let's say, Sina starts with this, or let's take something else, like the newsletter. It's great if Idris can do this by himself. But if he needs to ask me to create visuals, then we're working on this together. He briefs me, that's wasted time. There's errors there. One of the main things in Kanban is single piece. Can someone move something from here to there without asking anyone else? It's not that easy in teams.